Hey traders, checking out of the stock market today. So we have the bulls continuing their bounce. We have not topped out yet on the daily time frame. Bears are certainly looking for entries for daily consolidation. Trend changes are inevitably needed, and we'll see where we're shaping up on a lot of different sectors. So it's been a while since we checked in. We got the buy the news dip that we were looking for, and guess how much money I made on that call? So I planned my trip 3 months in advance. And I was traveling before the sun rose on Thursday. I was in the air during market open. And so I missed out on a very significant opportunity. I would have made a month maker if I were trading on Thursday, because obviously was very prepared for the bounce and had it all laid out as to what I was going to be looking to do. But that's the way it goes. And so the takeaways for me were discipline. I didn't try and trade on my phone. I accepted that I just missed this move and there'll be another one eventually. And that's the way it goes. Just lived life. And that's the way to do it, in my opinion, rather than lamenting and having FOMO and, oh, I should have canceled my trip. So I know some of you profited, which helps ease the burden. And I definitely felt FOMO. You know, it definitely was a, why does it have to be today kind of thing? But that's the way it goes. So from there, daily bounce underway. Most names are scouting daily lower highs, and we know bulls have to prove daily trend changes if this move is going to get followed through. We have new fear bottoms. The low of Thursday are our fear bottoms, and the question is, can these fear bottoms hold? And we're looking every single day for more information to help us answer that question. So looking at the futures chart Sunday, we opened and dropped real hard and just slowly climbed it all the way back. So on the 4-hour time frame overnight tonight, the S&P 500 has a double top to be watching. And if we reject from that double top, as long as we hold the overnight futures open low, that's a 4-hour high or low. So bulls are very comfortable going into tomorrow in the sense that worst case scenario, pending any kind of major news disaster, we're just going to look for a 4-hour high or low compared to that level and a tightening range. And just one more note on news. You will find in a heightened news environment, and again, Trump trade war was the same thing, but in a heightened news environment, when there's more volatility going on, you find the same headlines being recycled. And just be aware that that's going to take place. And whether it's individual groups or whether it's, trader news services, whatever it is, who's putting these tweets out and this information out, it's happening oftentimes at levels that otherwise would not have me looking for news at all. So for example, QQQ today was in a 5-minute uptrend all morning, the entirety of the morning. We held the low of the day just barely, but it held. New high of the day, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, lower high, lower, low. So in this heightened news environment, a trader looks at that red candle, goes, oh my God, what's the news? What happened? There's a little increase in volume. For me, I didn't look for news at all right there because it was a crystal clear 5-minute uptrend changing to a 5-minute downtrend. When that happens, you see follow through. We know hourly consolidation is inevitable, and that's the signal that hourly consolidation is now underway. So at that point in time, a headline comes out, fighting in the Capitol. We've heard that same headline for 5 days in a row. There was nothing new there. The price action, the lower high and lower low dictated the move, and traders or groups or whoever's putting the headlines out at certain times, they will do so to try and magnify the move to get the most bang for their buck. Okay, if hourly consolidation is going to start, I want to see, 1% pullback in 30 minutes instead of a 0.5% pullback in 30 minutes like we might see in a more tame market environment. There was another one where we rejected from resistance. So big 5-minute bounce, higher low, failed to break resistance by 36 cents, and we roll over. Again, in this recent environment, traders look at this and go, oh my God, what's the news? Big red candles, what's the news? And the news headline that was put out, Putin says anybody that helps Ukraine is facing dire consequences. Okay, I've read that 3 times in the last 4 days. No new news, but they put the headline out right at the key technical level to try and get follow through on that move. So at no point today was I looking for news because the charts were making sense. I look for news when something unusual happens. The less likely scenario happens on a big volume spike. Then I'm looking for the news. But if it's a rejection from resistance into a break of support, no news is needed. That's how charts and technical analysis work, and traders are responding to these levels. regardless of the headlines. So on to the NASDAQ. It's the same thing as the S&P 500. The biggest difference is the S&P 500 is being held down by healthcare and financial sector weakness, and QQQ was a lead bull. So tech sector and some growth names were strong today. XLV and XLF were much weaker. Sweetie Pants wants to go outside. So S&P 500 has the 4-hour double top. The NASDAQ does not, because the NASDAQ broke resistance. So it's just a 4-hour bull break. And again, anything above the low of the futures open is a 4-hour higher low. So bulls have space to work with. What we can watch for if we're looking in the real short term, if this were regular trading hours right now, I'd be scouting a bearish entry because I'd be scouting an hourly lower high compared to the high of the day. Because the size of the pullback was notable enough and big enough to create that space. So on both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, that's what I would be looking for. And this is the trade that I was looking for the second half of the day, but it just didn't develop in time, and I'm not swinging anything. In the past 2 days, I've been swinging less positions and more cash than I have in months. SMH, so held the low of Friday by 16 cents, broke the high of Friday by 29 cents, pretty much an inside bar. Not exactly, but very similar trading range. And the key question this morning was, can bulls hold the low of Friday? Most names did. The key question tomorrow, you guessed it, can bulls hold the low of today? If the lows of today break, daily consolidation is underway. Bears are looking for that daily consolidation. You look at SPY, there's a ton of space for a daily lower high to form here. Anything under 448. So we could go up another 2.5% and still be looking for a daily lower high. So bears are scouting a daily lower high entry. Patient bulls are waiting for a daily higher low entry. Remember the NIO swing trade I took a long time ago? It was playing this bounce, but missing a lot of that move, and then getting the daily higher low, patiently waiting. So aggressive bears are scouting bearish entries for daily consolidation. Aggressive bears have been punished the last 2 days for being too early. Patient bulls are scouting daily higher lows. So SMH, if we break the low of Friday today, nope. If we break the low of today tomorrow, our daily lower high is set, and we scout a higher low. Can the bulls change the daily trend? There are 2 questions I'm looking to be answered this week. Number 1, when do we top out? When does the top of the bounce set on the daily time frame and daily consolidation begin? I'm scouting for that every single day from here. Number 2, once that top is set, what's our retracement size? When does our daily higher low form if it's going to, which I'm anticipating is the most likely scenario? Can the bulls confirm the daily trend change? And with 4 more trading days, we will potentially have our answer by the end of the week. Bitcoin confirmed a daily trend change today. So I'm keeping an eye on that because you look at the crypto space, again, highest risk, highest reward sector there is. How's that for a day? Tons of confidence in the cryptocurrency space, and we'll see if that translates into confidence in the broader market as well. EV names and solar names are standing out in a big way. Tesla, lead bull. At this point, Tesla is over 25% above the low of Thursday. Massive bounce. This is the kind of move where, there's different game plans. Bulls playing this bounce are either locking in big, fast gains, or they're scaling out partial positions and trying to hold a long-term swing position. And, if I make an entry at 750 on Tesla and I sell half at 800, I can now be risk-free and stick a stop under the low, and worst case scenario, I go break even on that trade, and best case scenario, I nail a monthly higher low and we head back up over 1,000 later this year. So you need to determine what your game plan is, as always. So NIO had a big bull day today. The EV space, I haven't talked about the solar sector in a long time. And the solar sector is having a huge 3-day move. Solar did nothing on this February bounce. And that's why I haven't been talking about it, because it was just very weak. But the last 3 days, it's a rocket ship. And just like that, anybody that's been short the solar sector in the last 6 weeks is now underwater. And a monthly bounce is taking place before we even change the daily trend. Well, not the monthly yet. Significant weekly bounce. So why? What's going on? So the narrative here, just like the EV and solar space did really well when Biden was elected and when he's talking Green Deal and all this potential catalyst for the government providing subsidies or capital inflow, whatever the reason, now we have the narrative of we need to be less dependent on foreign sources of oil and energy. And in my opinion, that's the reason, that is a reason that we're seeing relative strength in EV and solar. And again, it's just these last 3 days are the most bullish 3 days that the solar sector has seen in the last 3 months easy. But like everybody else, we will need that daily trend change, and you better believe bulls are patiently waiting for hourly oversold conditions to scout a daily higher low, because we have a scenario right now where a lot of names went from maximum fear to maximum FOMO as fast as possible. That happens so often, and vice versa. Maximum FOMO to maximum fear. That's what Bitcoin does. It's what Bitcoin's known for. Go up to 69,000, drop down 2 months later 50%, and vice versa with the explosion to the upside. So you have a lot of bulls that missed entries over the last 3 days. That's why I think daily higher lows are coming, because there's a lot of bulls with a lot of cash on the sideline saying, okay, that's a big enough bounce. I don't want to chase it, but I want an entry in case this is a longer term higher low. One more note, something I said on Twitter. I cannot be a bear of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ big picture as long as the Apple chart looks like this on the monthly time frame. There is no red flag on this chart whatsoever. If Apple monthly EMA 12 is support, I am not bearish big picture the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. I can be bearish on the daily time frame. I can be bearish on the weekly, but I can't be bearish, for 2022 if Apple looks like this. It's the most important stock. It has the most weight in ETFs, and it's very strong. And Google is also holding monthly EMA 12. So I'm keeping a close eye on Apple as a factor in my broader market longer term analysis. And if I'm a bear in 2022 here, I really need to see Apple weakness, because I am not comfortable with a weekly bear break and zero follow through, keeping that monthly chart strong. Healthcare weak today, daily inside bar. So we still haven't topped out on the daily bounce, but clearly weaker today, not breaking the high of Friday. If the inside bar breaks bearish, our top of the bounce is set and we scout a daily higher low. If the inside bar breaks bullish, we test the high of the bounce up at 131.27. XLF lead bear today, sector-wise. Double bottom with the low of Friday. We held it to the penny into a solid morning bounce, but it's a daily inside bar, same deal. If it breaks bear, our lower high is set, and it's then up to the bulls to confirm a trend change. If it breaks bull, we look to the top of the bounce at 39.20. IWM continuing its bounce. Resistance is 207.27 and 209.05. If we break 209.05, anybody that has shorted IWM in the last month plus is underwater. So again, we're watching the highs of the February bounces, and it is a double bottom on the weekly. So can we hold the double bottom and break weekly resistance is the question. But we still need the daily trend change. When we lose the hourly uptrend, we scout the daily high or low. But growth names had a good day today. And I can say that because, again, if the financial sector is down and IWM is up, you know it's growth that is doing the heavy lifting for the bulls. And ARKK, significant 3-day bounce. Still a daily downtrend. That's why bears are scouting entries. But again, overly aggressive bears being put underwater the past couple of days. Biotech sector, daily bounce. Anything under 95.97 is just a lower high. There was a nice top fish bear trade today. High of Friday was 89.80. We broke it by 5 pennies and we double topped. If you look at the 1 minute time frame, double top and rolled over. But bulls did follow through from there. So we have not topped out on the bounce yet. But when we do, when we lose the hourly uptrend, we're going to scout a daily high or low, anything above 81.71. MSOS. Cannabis is much weaker. Big red flag for cannabis on Friday because the whole market was green and cannabis was red, both Canadian and US MJ. And we've got earnings this week for USMJ, a handful of names, and that's going to dictate the short term here. We are either going to see a bullish reaction and a weekly higher low try and shape up, or a bearish reaction and testing our recent lows. But as long as there's a bearish correlation with the broader market, there are much better plays out there. And the EV and solar sector are certainly showing us that the last 2 days. On to commodities. Gold. So gold bulls are liking the fact, yes, we had a blow off top and pulled back. We're still in a daily uptrend. We had an inverse relationship between the markets and the metals for a while now, but it's favoring the metal bulls because we have a 3-day bounce in SPY and the broader market. If we were directly inverse, we'd be hitting a lower low each day, and we're not. So that favors the metal bulls. The dollar is also really strong, and we know a weakening dollar, if we see any kind of weakness there, is only going to help the metal bulls. So the way I'm viewing this right now is daily higher low set at 1878, and we're scouting a 12-hour lower high, anything under the high where we came from. Essentially, we got a very wide range on that one candle. We held the low, and now we're scouting a lower high wherever it forms. Silver is nice and clear on the 4-hour chart, just a little equilibrium here. So tightening range the last 24 hours, but it's the same thing. If we get a bull break, we're just going to scout a 12-hour lower high, anything under 2562. But daily uptrend still intact for these metals. Certainly not the kind of day they wanted to see on Thursday, but lack of bear follow through from that climax candle at the moment. Oil, some big upper wicks, but again, daily EMA 12 and daily uptrend remaining intact. So bulls are keeping their control. And I'm scouting, just like the metals, scouting a 12-hour lower high, and it's set now, 99.10, and now we scout a 12-hour higher low. So I'm viewing this as high, low, lower high, scouting a higher low, anything above 90.06. And simple statement is, if daily EMA 12 is support, oil bulls are keeping their control. And uranium, significant breakout. Uranium stood out. So here's an example of using correlations. Uranium and IWM, or at least a couple names I've been watching. I've been watching CCJ and UUUU. Their correlation to IWM has been very significant last week and the couple weeks prior. It then started to stand out. That correlation was breaking. And it was really right here, February 18th and 22nd. Why was it standing out? Because at that point in time, IWM was dumping down and testing its lows. And CCJ was not. So you look at Friday's trading. That's not Friday. That is Wednesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday's trading held the low of Tuesday. IWM, Wednesday's trading broke the low of Tuesday. So, okay, relative strength. So last Thursday, I stay interested in CCJ as a bull as long as monthly EMA 12 continues to hold its support. Relative strength versus IWM the last 2 days after being very correlated stood out. So we're holding on better than IWM during weakness. What happens during strength? We rocket. Massive volume, big time bull move, weekly trend change. Well, not a convincingly clear one, but clear enough for me with that follow through and volume. Trend changes taking place. Monthly EMA 12 continues to hold as support. And it's a monthly inside bar that closed today. And if the monthly inside bar breaks bull, new key support level 1803 will be the guide of our uptrend. So uranium is remaining very strong. So if I'm looking bullish, I'm looking in our lead bulls, and I'm looking for hourly higher lows. I'm looking at Tesla, I'm looking at solar, I'm looking at uranium, I'm looking at metal miners, GDX. These are the names I'm scouting hourly higher lows on. We have individual names like SQ with an earnings reaction plus the market bounce. Tons of space for a daily higher low. So I will be scouting daily higher low entries on the stronger names. If I'm looking for daily lower high bearish entries, I want to choose the weaker names. I want to choose a name like Anything that's correlated to XLF, the travel names already set daily lower highs today. You look at jets, the airliners, daily lower highs set into a notable red day. And cruises as well. CCL, daily lower highs set. So bears are scouting the weaker names, and bulls are patiently waiting for the stronger names. More aggressive bulls are looking for hourly higher low entries on the stronger names. More patient bulls are looking for daily higher low entries. And again, hourly oversold backburner watch for daily higher lows. SQ, Tesla, NIO, TAN, CCJ, GDX, all these names that have seen strength, significant strength the last few days or the last few weeks, will be scouting daily higher lows, and we know it'll be a strong uptrend if hourly oversold conditions mark the daily higher lows. So that is my game plan from here. I took some trades today. Really today, being away for the last 4 days and being away from my station and coming back home, just wanted to get flow state. All I'm looking to do is small trades. So I had some small losses, some small wins, but just looking to get comfortable, placing the trade, filling out the order, establishing the trade game plan. And I had a successful trade on CCJ. Again, there were a bunch of names where I was not comfortable making bullish entries today, but if you give me a strong name and a strong start to the morning, I'm scouting a 5-minute higher low here. And I see the 5-minute higher low begin to shape up. And I say, okay, if 23.79 is the 5-minute higher low, I have a position. And if it's not, I'm going to stop out. So I entered at 23. After the little bounce started to take place on this candle, I entered at 23.88 or so, I believe. So as soon as I make that entry, if that 23.79 low breaks, I cut it. Because again, my entry is on the assumption that I am looking for this 5-minute higher low and wanting to enter on the 5-minute higher low. So we get the bull move. I sell half high enough so that I am now risk-free. My stop goes under 23.79, and I ride my half position. From there, I recognized a rising wedge as the bulls started to lack follow-through. And normally, I would just walk up my stop loss with, every 5-minute higher low, I just moved my stop up to that level. But I was pretty darn confident that this was a rising wedge. And so I exited right around upper 24.40s. Just locked in the second half of the position, and I can look at this and say, oh, good. I missed a $2 drawdown right after I exited, but we also made it back to the high of the day. Wow, that's a wall. Pay attention to that level tomorrow. So that was a nice little win. I also had a nice little loss, and this was a lesson reminder for me. And I talked many times about getting familiar with the names that you trade and getting comfortable with them. And you want to have a handful of names that you know really well. And it can change from time to time depending on the setup. It used 2 years ago for me, it was Tesla in 2020. Now, 2019, Tesla was my biggest winner by far. 2020, it was NIO by far. Recently, it's been NIO. If I'm trading EV names, I'm trading NIO. I'm very comfortable. I know my position size. I can do the math in my brain very quickly as to what's a day maker, what's a day loser. I haven't traded Tesla in a long time. So I entered Tesla here, hourly consolidation looking for a bull flag, very healthy. And we came down and we're right down near 852.53. And so I made an entry in Tesla with the normal position size I was used to. That being said, that normal position size was for months ago. I have no idea what the price was at when I used to be making these entries. But as soon as I made my entry, I then did the math real quickly. Okay, this is where my stop will go and this is how much risk. And I'm thinking, that's a bigger position than I want. That's more risk than I want to be taking on for this trade. I'm not trying to give back all of my gains on the day looking for an hourly bull flag on Tesla. I'll risk half of my gains on the day, sure, but it led to me having to put a stop loss too tight. If I had done 2/3 the size of the position, I would have put my stop under 850 and been fine. And it would have been a nice, successful trade. Instead, I stopped out. And as I stopped out, I'm looking at this and saying, I'm pretty confident that this trade will work out. But at that point, I realized my mistake with position sizing. I said, I'm done for the day. I've taken maybe 4 or 5 different trades. I had a little stop out trying to enter a bearish QQQ position too early. I had that CCJ winner, had a little NIO winner playing a 15-minute higher low. And so I was just done for the day. This was my last trade and just wrapped it up. And I was watching QQQ at the same time. And what made it tricky is QQQ was a 2-minute falling wedge. And so we ended up with just a little bit more weakness there than I was anticipating. And again, as I saw it all playing out and saying, I'm about to stop out and the trade's about to work out. But again, the last thing I want to do is break, say, well, maybe it's not my last trade. Let me try one more time. Let me make that profit back. Next thing you know, I've given back all of my profits on the day and I'm red. So again, just showing discipline. But this 2-minute falling wedge broke bull, gave the Tesla bull follow through on that entry. And it's just a simple reminder for me. Number one, just getting comfortable with the names that I'm trading and don't rush into things because I did not analyze my position size and the amount of risk that I would take on until it was too late. Just too hurried to get into the trade. And I just used my standard position size. It's probably the standard position size that I was trading when Tesla was back at 500. So obviously it's a much different position size than when it's at 850. So overall, green day, which is fine. Little green day, nothing notable. That's all I wanted. Just get the ball rolling, get the forward step in the right momentum, the right direction, get the little bit small flow state back. If I have another green day tomorrow, a little bit more towards that flow state and comfort. And again, I'm focusing more on day trading in the short term, but swing trading mindset as well. I will be scouting daily higher lows and all the names that I listed off. I will be watching for hourly oversold conditions to be scouting a daily higher low entry. All right. Hope you're well. Hope you played the bounce well. Do good things, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Dirk.